All right, everyone. Welcome to another podcast, another episode of New House, same address. I'm holding coffee. Thank you. Appreciate that. Welcome, Eric. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, sir?
Doing well. Bright and chipper. Karis, how are you?
I am trying to be bright and chipper. It's still early.
Ah.
I mean, I've already had coffee, so we're good.
Fair enough. And today we have a special guest, singer-songwriter Morgan May. How are you today?
I'm good. Not so much. Won't be doing any singing. So
No sing. What are we doing? No, this is Morgan May of Insurance, Ferris Insurance. That's correct.
That's correct.
Awesome. Well, first off, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who are you?
Yes, born and raised here in Arkansas. Been in the industry for about 7 to 8 years now on the commercial side of things. Primarily a property and casualty broker. Don't dabble in benefits. Went to Ole Miss, got a risk management and finance degree. So
Nice.
I didn't even know that existed when I actually started school, but here we are, and I actually ended up in the industry that I got a degree for. So that's
Very cool.
That's rare.
yes, I think so.
Less than 25%. Very
Says
cool.
the recent graduate.
Yes. Well,
Cheers.
congrats. Yes, I think it is rare. And I had some family in the industry that aren't in Arkansas, but I saw that they enjoyed what they did. And I said, okay, I don't know what I want to do. I'll go do that. So
Cool.
that's how I ended up with Ferris and doing what I'm doing.
Gotcha.
So
Where is this insurance company located at?
we are a part of Sunstar Insurance out of Memphis. We have
Okay.
42 offices across the Southeast. We manage about 100 million in revenue is about the size of our company. So we're all, Sunstar is really only about 10 years old. We're all learning how all the offices need to play together and pool our resources. But Ferris has been around, and that's our DBA in Arkansas for 30, 40 years, focusing in the chicken industry and construction. So
Okay. That's
Very
good to
cool.
know that you focus on construction, too, instead of just chicken.
Yes.
We would
Yes.
feel a little
Nothing wrong with
awkward.
chickens.
Yeah.
I love my chickens.
Well, so question for you. Just explain, I guess, a little bit to us about the type. I know you said the type of insurance you deal in, but for me, that kind of just like went over my head. So, like day-to-day practical, who are your clients and what do you do to help them?
yes, absolutely. So we picture ourselves on the scale that we work with, and our construction units are relatively large. So property and casualty insurance is the property piece is self-explanatory. That's actual physical structures, but casualty insurance is the miscellaneous lines of work comp, general liability, auto, and everything that comes along with those.
Okay.
So those are the terms that you'll commonly hear, but if you dig deeper, and anyone that's ever looked at an insurance policy, there's actually a lot to that. So
Pages and pages of it.
yes, correct. So, that's what gets me excited is kind of putting some things in place for people that they may not have heard of before, and really just, putting together a program for somebody that makes sense for them.
Yeah.
So-
Okay. What would you say is the most rewarding part of your job?
So this may surprise you. You would think I would say delivering a check to someone after some type of loss, but I like the piece of education and when they're able to leave my office actually feeling comfortable with what they've purchased. And it may not, if I can raise some eyebrows and go, oh, we can do that, or that makes more sense, and they feel fulfilled by the end of that meeting, that's where I'm happier. Because Ferris, we're a broker. The carrier's the one who we place you with in your program with that's actually going to deliver that check. So I don't get to see the smile or the handshake or the whatever it may be after a loss, but I'm the guy that got to put the plan together.
Right.
So that's where I feel fulfilled.
Cool.
Yeah.
So
You get the one that
Good
puts the
on you,
protection in place.
correct.
Yeah. So
Correct.
That always brings a lot of peace of mind to people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Morgan, again, thank you for coming today.
Real quick, sorry to interrupt. Can I get you to scoot in just a little? Thank you. That's right.
How about me?
Perfect. You're good.
Huddle.
Okay,
Huddle. Okay. So thanks for coming in today. I had a question. Clearly, we're talking about insurance, but like specifically around home improvements. I know you deal mostly with the business that's doing the improvements. What are some things you could tell us about the importance of choosing a contractor that has insurance? And well, let's just start with that. Keep it simple.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you'll go on any contractor's website and you'll say insured and bonded, but what does that really mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot. Great, you can slap that on your business card or whatever it may be, but if they're not supplying you a real certificate of insurance and you're not asking, you don't really know what that means. I mean, there's a lot of pieces to that. You will commonly hear general liability and work comp, right? That's what you require before you let somebody into your home to do some work. But if you're not asking about performance bonds, if they're going to walk off the job halfway, that's not covered under your homeowners or your contractors. The contractor usually doesn't even know that contractor's E&O is what covers bad work. It's not your general liability.
Right.
General liability has to have a loss, and the effect of that loss is what's paid for by insurance.
Okay.
But bad work is not covered under anything except for contractor's E&O.
Okay.
I bet 1% of contractors actually purchase that coverage.
Interesting.
So
what would you think the reason? Maybe they just don't know about it or haven't been educated on that's what they need?
it's difficult to purchase. Carriers know. I mean, if you're looking at any business decision, and carriers look at a risk as a business decision, and you think that there's a higher probability loss than they're going to actually make money off of selling someone that deal, they're going to walk away. So anyone under 5 years in the business, anyone with unfavorable loss history, anyone that they deem unworthy, they are not going to supply contractors have E&O to.
Yeah, well, I guess
So-
they have a lot of risk involved with that as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if you think about it, most claims that you would see, it's bad handiwork, which is not covered under homeowners or their general liability policy, and it's something way down the road that arises way after the contractor's gone.
Yeah.
So
Like a leaky shower.
Yeah.
Something like that. Okay.
I'll give you an example. So say for instance, you've replumbed a home. You've hired a contractor or plumber. You don't know him. You found him off Craigslist. I don't know. And
Showing your age.
Don't
there.
do that.
yes, yes, don't do that.
He'll look exactly like me.
And he comes and he replumbs your kitchen. And, 2 months down the road, pipe breaks, kitchen floods. Your homeowner's insurance will cover to clean up the flood. They'll rip back out any wet cabinets that they can't, soak up the water quick enough for the problem of mold.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are not going to go in and replumb your kitchen. So they're not going to cover the bad handiwork. So that's where your homeowners fall short.
Interesting.
Ah,
So that is going to go back onto the liability of the contractor.
I'm gonna write
Yeah.
this down.
Yeah. Okay. So it sounds like it can be a risky transaction for a homeowner if they're not looking out for themselves, essentially, by hiring someone that has the proper coverage.
100%. 100%. You think of that problem being bad handiwork, and that's the one thing that homeowners will not cover. Granted, an electrician comes in, sparks a fire, they will cover your house for the fire, but they're not going to cover much else than that.
Interesting.
So,
Well, you bring up homeowners insurance. I guess what are the differences, kind of just the basic differences between you hire a contractor, he's got his liability and workers' comp that protects the employees or the people working there. And what is the difference between the homeowner's policy? Like, when would a homeowner's policy ever kick in, or would they need that?
yes. So I think it's important to know that not all homeowners policies are the same. So there's two primary homeowners policies. There's an HO3 and an HO5. An HO3 is considered a named peril policy, meaning that homeowner's policy is only going to cover things that are specifically written down and stated in that policy.
Oh, okay.
Right? Cheaper's not always better, huh?
Right.
HO5 policy, which you're going to buy from your local shelter, State Farm, Allstate, you name it, is going to be an open peril policy. And what that means is only everything that written down is only things that are excluded. So it's actually the opposite. It's a wider range of coverage. So you need to look at what you're buying first off. And that's, we can go into actual cash value versus replacement cost and what that means as well. But to answer your question, it's not all the same. And homeowners, again, will pick up any damages caused by a contractor to the home, but not his work, right?
Okay.
His work is going to be covered under either a performance bond, his general liability if it comes up down the road. But then again, you got to track him back down and pull him back into your home and get him off the next job site. So, which can sometimes be
And do
difficult.
you want him back?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. There's a lot to think about.
I'm just blown away at the moment. I'm literally like thinking, I got to check my State Farm app.
Yes.
Well, that's how we get
HO3.
those little letters in the mail that say we are excluding acts of terrorism. Put this with your policy.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that is one of the exclusions on our policy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I do know that.
Yes.
I'm excluding. That's crazy.
I've had every client I've ever had sign the exclude terrorism form. So if there's a terrorist attack,
I mean, I'm not
you'll
important
never
enough
find me.
for a terrorist to come after me, right?
Yeah.
So-
Everyone's like, sorry.
Well, yeah.
Sorry.
The
Sorry
Morgan
to
guy's a
hear
liar.
it. The one thing we excluded.
That's right.
Can you believe it?
Well, Morgan, let's talk a little bit about workers' comp because this comes up a lot. They might have it, they don't have it. Sometimes they don't even ask the contractor if they have it. How important is the contractor you hire? How important is it that they have a workers' comp policy?
For the contractor, extremely. For the homeowner, not as much as I would be looking at general liability and contractor's E&O.
Okay.
I mean, the entire purpose of insurance is not to disrupt a company or an individual's cash flow. I mean, that's at its essence the idea behind
Okay,
it.
that's a good
It's a
way to put
bank.
it.
So, work comp has a few components to it, but the idea is it's a state mandated program for individuals that hire 3 or more employees in Arkansas. That's our rule to cover, bodily injury of one of their employees,
Right.
which is a massive cost to anyone.
Yeah.
A homeowner, I would say, need not concern themselves unless they are the ones actually causing the bodily injury to the contractor that's in their home doing the work,
Good to
right?
know.
Yeah.
Which is a totally different problem. If you're fighting your contractor, don't call me.
There
Yeah,
should be
that-
something else involved.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't think, from a contractor standpoint, have to have, from a homeowner standpoint, it's need not concern.
Okay. So,
So
if let's just say a homeowner hires a contractor, they have 3 or more or 2 employees. Let's say they don't need or are required to have workers' comp, but someone gets hurt
mhm.
at that person's home, the owner's home. How much liability does the homeowner have in those situations?
You could absolutely be dragged into any civil suit in that case. And what you have on your homeowner's policy is usually, I'm going to butcher this, probably the minimum of $500,000 in liability, and it's made just for that. People that you invite into your home, they slip and fall, your dog bites them, a lamp, I don't know. I'm just thinking of scenarios where they could get hurt in your home.
Just ceiling.
Yes,
walls.
yes.
Well, I mean, and I've seen kids break their arm on a trampoline, and
Trampolines,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So that's
Yes.
the big bad word, insurance. I shouldn't have said that.
It is. Trampolines and
I
hot
love
tubs.
trampolines.
Yeah. They are fun.
They are fun. But yes, so anyone that you invite into your home, there is a level of liability that you're taking on,
Sure.
friend or foe.
And that, I guess the homeowner should be more concerned about an actual lawsuit from that person working in their home against them. Is that kind of what you're saying? Or should they be concerned about paying that person's medical bills?
I think the largest concern and what won't be covered, and where you're high and dry, is bad handiwork.
Okay.
It's the guy that comes in, does a bad job, and you never find him again. Right?
Yeah.
Because even if he does come in, he does bad work, and he's the A-plus contractor in town, the proceedings to file that claim of his business and get that paid and him get reimbursed is going to put a lot of lag time on the job. So you're going to be sitting there staring at your half-done kitchen for 6 months waiting on him to get paid because he's not showing back up until that insurance company strokes the check.
Yeah.
They're not going to lose money on that deal. So even though they are insured, if there's a way that you could hedge against it and hold your own coverage, but it's not a thing in the homeowners market right now.
Okay.
So to protect against contractors, frankly.
Yeah.
So
Interesting. So at a bare minimum, make sure your contractor has liability, general liability.
bare minimum general liability, A-plus contractors will carry contractors E&O to cover them on bad handiwork.
And E&O is errors
And omissions.
Emissions. Okay.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's good to know.
That is good to know.
Because we do talk a little bit about insurance with homeowners. For the most part, I don't know that people know what to even ask or what they should be concerned about. So that's one of the reasons we wanted to have you here. So that's been pretty eye-opening, at least from a homeowner's perspective, what the potential risks they're getting involved with.
There's a lot of it. So
Yeah.
they're high and dry in a lot of areas. There's no denying it.
Well, it's important to talk about it because I think a lot of them don't know to ask those questions. And so
Yes.
I would say out of every 10 appointments I set, I may get one question. Are you licensed and insured? And so if they don't ask it, I try to make sure I mention it just to kind of set them at ease. But a lot of them just don't even know to ask.
Yeah.
One, they assume. And
Yeah.
two, or they just don't know.
Yeah. On how many appointments I've ran? I don't know. Lots. Very many. I've only had one person say bring a copy
Yeah.
of your insurance.
Yeah.
And
Which
we
is crazy,
keep copies
so.
ready. So
Yeah.
they are
Good.
they are there.
Yeah. We have it on PDF, but like the actual, they wanted to see it. So, yeah. Interesting. Things to think about.
Now, let's talk a little bit from the contractor's perspective. And you and I just went through this whole audit thing. From a contractor hiring other tradesmen or subcontractors, what are some things to look out for, some risk potentially that could come into play?
Yes. So, if you say you're a home builder, let's just start from a guy that builds homes in a subdivision. That guy sits behind a desk or in a truck. He doesn't swing a hammer, right?
Yeah.
There's layers and layers of subcontractors under that individual that all are either purchasing, we'll go with the big two, work comp and general liability, that essentially feed up to him. And it's layers under his business that protect his business so that it has to pierce about 6 to 7 corporate veils before it can hit his desk, right, in the case of a lawsuit. So those certificates are written on an accord form. And when you know the real, it actually says Accord 25 in the bottom left corner if you look, because there's lots of fake ones. But in the time of an audit, you're backing up to prove you actually did what you did and your exposure, which is based on revenue and payroll, was accurate. So collecting those as a contractor is vitally important. If your subs under you do not have the correct coverages, you are essentially going to be the one paying for it. There's no getting around it.
Yeah.
And each of those forms has the dates that they're covered.
Correct.
So that's always it's a nightmare to kind of track, and like my
Yeah.
calendar has little reminders and I have a list.
Yeah.
Is there a
Yes.
way to file them all at the same time? January 1st?
Well, you have to know they're all different dates, and sometimes the liability coverage is different than the workers' comp, and so you have to like put 2 different notes on your reminder list, and you call in June for this and in September for this one. It's lots of
Yes.
fun. It's great.
It's
My favorite part.
insurance needs to find a better system. I will be the first to say it.
Yeah.
So,
Fair enough. Yeah.
but is that? I mean, I think that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. Essentially, if myself as a contractor, if I hire someone that doesn't have either one and something goes bad, it's coming back to me. And at an audit time, I'm going to have to cover that cost regardless if they have it or not.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
It will go directly up to the top of the chain before it hits a policy that's in place.
Sure.
So you hire somebody that hires somebody that hires somebody. Bottom guy doesn't have what he needs, rolls up to the next guy. And it continues to roll uphill until it's the person that put the people on the job.
Okay.
Oh,
So,
interesting.
Yeah, so that's all you contractors out there.
yes. Yes.
Keep track of those COIs, as we call them, certificates of insurance. Make sure they're up to date. Which the more subs trades you use is quite a task.
Yes.
Yeah.
And easily overlooked for sure.
Right. Yeah. That's
I've-
one of the big benefits with Home Pros, baby. Come on.
Okay. So if you hire a sub and they are insured fully like they should be, something goes wrong, one of their guys gets hurt, let's say. As the general contractor, how does that process typically look? If they're hurt on your job, but they have their own insurance, what does that look like?
If they have coverage in place and a broker that they can call, they can be advised on how that would go. And they essentially, the first line of defense is the carrier that's in place on their worker compensation and their GL. So that's who needs to file it. That's who needs to handle that employee. But we're obviously not in a perfect world. And I've seen many times that they're instantly filing it on the project manager or the top of the food chain's policy. In the background, there will be the carriers will subrogate, excuse me, I'm looking for the word. They will subrogate against that. They will fix it, but that takes years and years. And what's stuck on your project manager's record, loss runs, is you have what's called a mod. It's your state E-mod. It's your workers' compensation rating, let's call it, which you always want to be below 0.87. So as that's driving up, you're driving more premium. So you want to keep that kind of stuff at the level that it needs to stay at.
Right. Okay. And that number you're talking about just shows how many occurrences of injury or usage of that policy you've had to.
More or less.
Okay.
It's a formula 3 pages long. Okay. So
we won't get into that.
Yes.
But the lower the numbers, better.
Lower, better.
So I do remember that part.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, out of all the things we've talked about so far, what have we missed or overlooked that you think might be important?
I think contractors E&O is a big piece that no one thinks about. I guess I'll tell you a short story about it. So this is a homeowner, actually had somebody come on. They were going to redo their driveway. It was a concrete company here in town. We're not going to point any fingers.
Yeah.
Who did not purchase this coverage. And they poured the concrete, and it was fine. It's not cracking. They redid, I think it was 400-yard driveway. It's a big job.
That's a lot. Yeah.
The project manager of the home actually asked him to put a chemical in there that apparently we need in Northwest Arkansas, prevents against the cold, that he didn't put in there.
Okay.
So the work was wrong, right?
Yeah.
He disappears. It starts cracking, right?
Right.
So, of course it does. Anyway, they finally tracked him down, said, hey, you got to come rip this up and redo this job. I actually insured the home and the contractor, so it was kind of a strange scenario.
Okay.
But he didn't have contractors E&O, and he was about to be held liable for this bad handiwork. He had to go rip that up on his own dime, which took, the homeowners has a cracked driveway for, I think it was 6 months to a year before he could actually get back around to do it. And it was all out of his pocket. I think it cost $200,000.
Yeah.
Before it was over.
Right.
So it would have saved the homeowner and the contractor a lot of headache if they had purchased that one line of coverage. So
Yeah.
Gotcha. Who's the? I'm sorry, I'm a little slow, but help me out here. Who's the E&O for? The homeowner?
The E&O is for the contractor,
Or for the contractor?
but it will make the homeowner's life a lot easier if they
Okay.
carry that coverage against bad handiwork.
Gotcha. So it's for the contractor to carry, so that way the homeowners have a peace of mind
Correct.
that they're going to come back and fix it. Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Very good.
I know we basically covered that in the first 2 minutes, but just now circling around to it.
Insurance is a really big topic, and it
Yeah.
can get really.
I know nothing about it, so
Yeah.
this is very informative.
My knowledge of insurance is you better have someone that knows what they're talking about because it is pages and pages of terminology and things that if you don't know what it means, you could be just wasting your money
Right.
Yes.
or overpaying for something you don't really need or,
Yeah.
how that goes. So,
Yeah.
It's legal jargon at the end of the day. It's a bunch of lawyers in a dark room that don't
Yeah.
talk to the actual people. So
Right.
it's our job to try to explain and get that out there and put things in place that
Yeah.
matter.
Sure.
So
yeah. Awesome. Well, you did a good job today. I appreciate you coming
Thank
on
you.
board.
Happy to be
Thank you
here.
so much.
It's a pleasure to have you here.
thank you.
And you guys have any other questions?
Yeah, I have one last question. What's your favorite season of the year? Not seasoning like meat. Season of the year.
I think we're in it. It's football season.
Me too.
We're out of the heat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We hope.
Yes.
This
yes.
might be fake fall.
Oh yeah. They can sneak up on you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Boom. Back in the 80s.
That's right.
So, yeah. Anything else?
No, I'm good. I think
Good.
he answered a lot more questions than I knew I had.
I hope so.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Morgan, for being here. Thank you, Karis. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Justin. Sorry. And thank you, listeners, for listening to another episode of New House, Same Address. We'll talk to you in the next one.